All right, so you're thinking about moving to Columbus or Central Ohio. It's fantastic. We'd love to have you, but there are some pros and cons we want to go through when you're evaluating living here. Here are the 5 pros and cons to living in Columbus, Ohio. We're actually going to run through the cons first and get those out of the way. So we're going to get the first one right out of the way. It's the weather. The weather in the winter is not great. From mid-December to mid-late March, it's cold, it's gray, it's wet, it may be snowy. It snows less here than you think, but it's generally just not pleasant to be outside over the winter. You're just hustling from your car to the building to your house and back, and that's generally how it goes. The second con of living in Columbus and Central Ohio is the lack of public transit. Unlike bigger cities like New York, Chicago, we don't have any kind of rail system here. There's no subway or train system to get you around town. There is the COTA bus system, which for what it is, does quite well. In fact, in 2020, and for the second time in 3 years, they were voted the best transit system of its size in North America. That's the American Public Transportation Association. Say that 5 times fast. But for what it is, it does quite well, but I think even the people at COTA would say it doesn't get as much use as they'd like. Another con for living in Columbus and Central Ohio is that it's really flat, which doesn't sound like much of a con, but once you leave the city and you see there's just nothing much to see. It's a really lack of interesting topography or interesting things to see as you travel around. It's very flat. There's not a whole lot to see except for those skyscrapers downtown. Moving along in our cons for living in Central Ohio, there are no beaches or mountains, kind of interesting topography to look at or kind of be involved with. My wife's from Minnesota. She's used to growing up in lakes. There even aren't that many big boating lakes around Central Ohio. There are a couple, but they can get kind of crowded. Lake Erie is a couple hours away in Cleveland, and there's something called Mad River Mountain nearby north of town for your skiing. However, if you're used to skiing in the Rockies or even in the Appalachian and Pennsylvania area, you're going to be a little disappointed with Mad River Mountain, and by comparison, it's a little smaller. If you're into those kind of outdoor sports, it's not the easiest thing to get around. It's not super close. The last con of living in Central Ohio is that it's in Ohio. You'll have to suffer through many jokes from your coastal friends and family about living in corn country and flat lands and those kinds of things. We aren't fond of group spelling here in Ohio for some reason, so you will have to suffer quite a bit through those. All right, switching gears, we're going to talk about the pros of living in Central Ohio and Columbus area. First off, I know it was on the negative list, but we're actually going to throw it on the pros list, is the weather. From mid-May through really mid-November, it's really, really nice. It gets hot in the summer, of course. There are days that are uncomfortable, but most of the time it's quite pleasant. It doesn't rain a whole lot starting from like mid-August through November. You have the great opportunity to get outside, enjoy the nice weather, especially in the fall. You put on a sweatshirt and play around a golf. It's fantastic time of year, the fall. It doesn't get talked about enough as part of one of the real benefits of living in Columbus is its location. It's within a day's drive of 41% of the U.S. population. So you can get to like DC and New York within a day's drive. You can get even to the northern edge of Florida if you really hustle. We've done it a couple of times. It's a haul, but you get there. Like much of the Midwest, we enjoy a low cost of living here in Columbus and Central Ohio. So much so, it's quite drastic. 66% lower than the cost of living in Los Angeles and 81% lower than living in Brooklyn. Your dollars go a long, long way here as compared to the kind of bigger coastal cities. Columbus is a growing area. There's a tremendous amount of capital investment going on here in Central Ohio. Companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Honda have all planned or are planning to invest billions of dollars, each of them, in Central Ohio. Everyone's getting excited about the investment is Intel. They are already building silicone chip fabrication facilities here in Central Ohio. An initial investment of $20 billion and with possibly as much as $100 billion here in Central Ohio, which would truly transform the city if we were to get that full amount, make it the world's largest silicone chip manufacturing center. We're guaranteed at least 2 of these fabrication facilities, probably going to get 4 and maybe 6. There's a possibility of 8, way back in the, way down the line. With that capital investment comes a tremendous amount of people. People need places to go and things to do. And so there's all kinds of construction and investment and going on in Central Ohio all around the area. Can't get through a list of pros and cons of living in Central Ohio without mentioning the Ohio State Buckeyes. The reason for this, it's a lot of fun to be a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are second all-time in wins. They're second all-time in consensus All-Americans. They're first all-time in Heisman Trophy winners. They're first all-time NFL first-round draft picks, and they are first all-time in winning percentage. So being a Buckeye fan is a lot of fun. I hope this video helped paint a picture of what it's like living in Columbus, Ohio, the good and the bad. I'm Craig Balster with Keller Williams and the Balster Realty Group. Please give us a call if you're thinking about moving to Columbus. Be happy to help you out.